you have been asking me to bring you more videos about this ESG scoring, what's going on at the woke place. Yes, I coined that phrase as well. And I have been doing a series of videos for you over the last week, especially because we are now being bombarded with messages from large corporations about the Pride community. I'm on record to say I am not here to cause any beef with anyone who is sincerely engaged in those communities. I do take issue with the companies that are forcing it in front of us. You can't just go do your grocery shopping or get a cup of coffee or order something online without being bombarded with these messages that I do not want to see. It's none of my business what someone else's sexuality is. And I especially take issue when this is being targeted to toddlers as they are doing at Target. I've been sounding this alarm for over a year. Many have been speaking out against this as well. And that is why I am going to continue to bring you this information, because you've asked me to. So in the previous video, I talked about the CEI, and I'm going to refresh your memory on that in just one moment. I have a question for you before I give you a brief message from a sponsor who you will notice does not have, is not woke in the terms that we know. And you'll see on the website that they're not promoting all of this other messaging that's going on so many large companies. But here's my question for you. How long do you think the ESG, which stands for environmental, social governance, I'm going to break that down for you in just a moment. How long do you think that has been going on? Do you think it's been going on for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Let me know in a comment how long you think this has been going on. Also drop a comment about any other of these large companies that we should be aware of, and let them know how we feel about their idea of putting pride before product, or pride before we, the people, the consumers, and even putting pride before the profit, because we've been seeing these companies take a major dive. So let me bring you a message from a non-woke company that has been a sponsor of mine for some time. We are going to, hang on one moment, we're going to hop right on over to keto-with-peggy.com. They have been a sponsor of this show for some time, and I'm very happy to bring you this message all about Keto Elevate. It's a product that I use, I trust, I have benefited from, and I hope that you will as well. That is keto-with-peggy.com. Let me bring you this brief message. Americans' motivation for fitness has never been higher than this summer. A shocking 42% of Americans have stated that they want to get their beach body. Many are now switching to a keto diet in order to reach those health goals. But you don't have to go on the keto diet. What I want to do is to help you reach your health goals by taking this amazing keto powder. It's one of the most popular keto supplements on the market because it helps to give you the benefits of the elevated ketones without following that highly restrictive keto diet, which means you don't have to eliminate carbs. It's especially formulated to help boost your metabolism, control your appetite, and also increase your energy levels. So try it today. You'll get up to 51% off, plus several other free bonuses. Again, go to keto-with-peggy.com, or you can click the link that I will have for you in the description box below. Friends, imagine if you were a vegan and you went to, I don't know, one of these corporations. Let's say you wanted to go buy a pair of jeans at a maybe online or at a clothing store, and you're bombarded with advertisements about barbecuing beef and the juicy meat and all of this. You're like, what in the world? I specifically do not go to barbecue joints. I do not eat hamburgers. Why am I being bombarded with these messages that I don't want to see? All right, I'm trying to find a rather non-emotional analogy for those who still don't understand why this topic is so important. And I did a video, and I will continue to do videos on why this is so important, because it is not just about selling a product. It is about shaping your behavior and the behavior of these companies. And I'm going to tell you exactly who's behind it. If you want to be a vegan, if you want to eat meat, if you want to smoke cigarettes or abstain, if you want to drink or not drink like I choose to do, that's fine. But why in the world would you have companies that are going to be forcing these messages in front of you when you are not intentionally seeking them out? And these messages, in fact, have nothing to do, in most cases, with the products that they are selling. So there is something going on here, friends. And I came to the conclusion that there are 5 main reasons why these companies are doing this. And I'm going to give you those 5 reasons in just a moment. But first, let me answer the question and see if anybody got the answer right. How long do you think this ESG has been going on at the woke place? All right, let's see if anybody has answers here for me. I will tell you, it has been going on since 2004. Yes, this is the 20th year of the ESG rating system. Now, I did some research on this. It did begin with, guess who? Not the WHO, but affiliated with the WHO, and that is the United Nations. So back in the good old days, the history of this ESG, in fact, I will just share my screen and I'll show you there, and I'll leave a link for you. It is called the corporategovernanceinstitute.com. This is one of these agencies that is getting paid to rate these companies on their performance. And let me share my screen. We'll hop right on over here. I will leave all these links for you. What I find interesting is the research that I've done today. I have not seen any rainbow flags or men dressed as women or any of those things, which is really interesting because these are the ones that are pushing it. Here we are. ESG will dominate business decisions for decades. Are you prepared? So you can get a brochure. This is just their little freebie here. What is the history of ESG? ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance. And it's a strange acronym. It's a little bit cumbersome, but I did learn that the UN had a report called Who Cares Wins. And this is widely considered the first mainstream mention of ESG in the modern context. Let's back up a little bit. ESG stands for the categories of the environment, society, right? Social action, and governance, meaning who are the people that are governing these corporations. Now, these are publicly traded corporations. These are public corporations, not your mom and pop jewelry store or ice cream shop or hairdresser down the street, unless they are publicly traded. I'm sure there might be some. But these are businesses that you can find on the stock exchange and that you can invest in. Also, there are privately held companies that are startup companies that are trying to get investors. They haven't gone public yet, so they have an idea. They want people to invest in their company, so then the company can go public and sell shares, and then all of the investors will make the boku bucks. That's the idea. And in order for these startup companies, in order to attract these investors that are woke, they have to have, and they need to prove that they are woke in terms of the environment, in terms of their social issues, and in terms of who they have on their board of directors, their CEO, their head of marketing, and all of that. So let's break it down, the ESG, environment. What's interesting is there is no consensus in terms of what exactly goes into these scores. And I will show you that I came across a slew of companies that companies like Anheuser-Busch and Target and fill in the blank, Ulta and Adidas and Milk-Bones, they can pay to have their company be scored, so then they can pat themselves on the back and say, we have a very high ESG score, with the intention of attracting more investors and in having their companies be promoted and shown as good investments in the stock market by Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and others. I'm going to expose that in just a moment. But let's just break that down. So the environmental scores might have something to do with the sustainability, all right? A word that I absolutely hate. And here is a definition of sustainability from the United Nations. This was back in 1987. The United Nations Brundtland Commission defined sustainability as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. You may say, Peggy, that sounds amazing. I am an environmentalist. I do care about the environment and that we have clean water and clean air and fresh food and so forth. Friends, I am with you on that. I certainly don't want to live under aerosol sprayed skies and water that has fluoride in it and plants that are being manipulated into genetically modified material. I am with you 100%. But let's look at this definition again, not that we need to accept it, but this is what a lot of the companies are going on when they think about the environment and being sustainable. And I'm going to show you, I don't have time in this video. I want to make my videos a little bit shorter. So we will look in the next video at Anheuser-Busch, and I'll give you the example and the details of what Anheuser-Busch is touting about themselves to say, look how great we are in the ESG scores. So let's look at this definition: meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future. Well, how do we meet the needs of the present if we cannot put gasoline in our cars, if we're told that in the case of California, we can't run our electric appliances until 9 p.m. at night? We are not meeting the needs of the present. So that's something that needs to be taken into consideration. But basically, the ESG score, the environmental is, are they woke in that way? Are they talking about carbon footprints? Do they have something on their website that talks about how they are reusing materials? And folks, I'm all in favor of not being wasteful and of recycling when possible, but not at the expense of our improvement and our the ability to live a life and to live at the standard of living that we've created. Why in the world would we want to go backwards? Why in the non-spinning world would we want to go backwards? I know you told me you like it when I say that. That's a topic for another day. The social issues now pretty much can be combined into that other score that I gave you, which is the CEI, and that is the Corporate Equality Index. So let's take a look at that. I did that in the video a couple of days ago, and here we go. The Corporate Equality Index is all about the pride community. I'm just using that phrase as a shortcut so I don't have to go into it all. And as I've said before, I don't want to know about your sexuality. I don't want to know what time you go to bed and who you go to bed with. And I hope you don't want to know that either. Those are private, intimate details that have no place in the public realm. There may have been in the years past where there was a lot of discrimination. People were fired for their jobs because of their sexuality. I don't see that as the case now. And if you have evidence of that, please let me know. I see the exact opposite, where the transgressors, meaning those who are transgressing against God's beautiful design of their body and cutting off, mutilating their body parts, that's a transgression. All right, so I'm calling them the transgressors. And I do take issue with that. I take issue with that because they are so visible, they're so vocal, and they are going after the children. How can I say that? Well, when you look at those shows of men outrageously dressed up as women, although I've never seen any women that look like that, and then going to what normally would be family-friendly events like the Dodgers baseball game, although apparently they've scrubbed that. And not only are they dressing up like that in outrageous costumes, but they are honoring evil and they are mocking God by belittling, and that's not even a strong enough word, the Catholic and Christian faith. So that's not okay. And then you have children that are being exposed to that, and children that are being exposed to these creatures reading to them in the public libraries. Doesn't that bother you? Why would a grown man want to be dressed up in the getup and present himself in front of little children? That's very strange to me and very disturbing. And that's where I draw the line. I draw the line with targeting tots with clothing, and Kohl's and others. I also have to mention again the controversy with the beer, and I don't even think I can say that word anymore. I'm going to be targeted with the beer producer. And friends, don't you know that character, that Mulvaney character, is playing a role? He is actually mocking the transgressors. He isn't even one of them. He is pretending and parading himself around as a 6-year-old little girl. That doesn't trouble you. You think this doesn't need to be spoken about. You think I'm making a big deal out of nothing. You think that that's not a hop, skip, and a jump of normalizing the child love. Yeah, that's where I see this going. It is an evil agenda. So the ESG actually, in my mind, stands for the evil socialistic agenda. All right. So that's why I'm speaking out against this. This is being promoted. Let me show you who it's being promoted by. So you've got the environmental aspect. Are they saving the world by reducing the carbon footprint and who knows what they're doing? Are they doing their social issues by pushing the transgressors and the pride community? And the governance, do they have the right color of people on their board? Do they have the right gender of people on the board? So no longer is it reliant on achievement or ambition or what they've accomplished or what their capacities are, but it's based on color and gender. I'm flummoxed. I'm flabbergasted. It is flabbergasting. All right. So who is pushing this? All right. Before I show you that, let me say there are 5 reasons I believe they are doing it. All right. The number 1 reason is they actually believe in it. All right. And I would put Target in this category. So the CEO of Target is a WEFer. He is in bed, literally, with the World Economic Forum, who is also pushing this. And he has come out, I don't know, in more ways than one, perhaps, but he has come out to say that he believes that it's important that companies take this social stand. Now, that right there troubles me. The government, it appears to me, is using these companies to do what they're unable to do, although the occupier-in-chief is doing his best to try to normalize all these things as well. Why is it the company's business, a corporation's business, to influence the environment, social issues? I don't see it. They should be occupied, and their charter as a company that has investors, their number 1 fiduciary responsibility, meaning their monetary requirement and obligation, is to their shareholders to make a profit. Sorry to break it to you, businesses are in the business of making a profit, period. And a profit simply is the amount of money left over from what they've spent and what they've earned. All right. So if they are advertising, let's say they sell a product and they make $100,000 and they've spent $50,000 in advertising, in their sales team, in their fulfillment and shipping and all of that, their profit is going to be $50,000. Ideally, these companies take that $50,000. What do they do with it? Okay, simple economics question here. What's that? You're absolutely right. They reinvest the money so that they can continue to bring you the products and the services at a higher level. But guess what? The companies aren't doing that. They're doing the exact opposite. For example, have you ever tried to get in touch with a large company by making a phone call, and you go through the phone tree and you end up in Jamaica or somewhere trying to speak English to someone? Now, I have nothing against anyone who speaks English with an accent. I speak French with an accent. I've taught English to those who have accents. I think it's awesome that people speak more than one language. Yes, I even need to defend my statements here. But the fact is, why can't I have someone in the United States of America with the United States company answer the phone on the first ring? Instead, I get the rigmarole of, due to high call volume, your call may be delayed. And then you're holding on line for 40 minutes. No, that's because they spent all this money on this ridiculous ESG scoring instead of reinvesting the profits in the company to create better products at a better price with better customer service. That's the purpose of a business. Now, you may say, Peggy, I want to have an impact on the community. I want to have an impact on society. I want to help save our world. I think that's fantastic. And the only way you can do that is if you make a profit. You have to put profits first, otherwise you are unable to continue the company. Now, it's incredible that I even have to talk about this, but apparently those over at Anheuser-Busch missed out on that class in economics because they did the exact opposite. They put pride before profits, and they put pride before the company. They put pride before the product, and they are tanking. Now, you may say, that was just a Gen Z person. And I did a video on that because yes, it's a person. Also, I think of the transgressor community, but I don't think it was just a wild idea that the person had. I believe, and I also want to say that it's not just one person driving this. It's not just the Gen X social media, people that are saying, hey, I have an idea, let's do this. This is being driven at the highest levels of the company. These campaigns do not go out unless they've been approved, unless there have been meetings, unless there is funding. Trust me, I used to work for Procter & Gamble 30 years ago. I understand how these things work. So no, it's not just a Gen Z person with an idea or even a pride person saying, I think we need to put this on that. No, that's not it at all. However, there are those that truly embrace it, and I would say Target. So that was number one. All right, number two reason that they might do it. I made some notes here. They're coerced into doing it, and I would say this is the most common. They're coerced into doing it in order to get the investment dollars or to be recommended to investors by large investment companies such as Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, and Vanguard, JP Morgan. And I'll show that to you right now. It is, I grabbed a couple of these. So here we go. Let me share my screen. And I will leave this for you if you want. I just want to use it as an example. Here we are, Goldman Sachs, sustainability and other reporting. Our purpose is to advance sustainable economic growth and financial opportunity. And it goes on and on and on. And I will tell you, we've got Goldman Sachs. Who else have we got here? Okay, BlackRock, sustainable investing. Sustainable investing is in demand. So they love this word. They're using it. Here you are, the ESG, blah, 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 sustainable advantage, la, la, la. So here's another one, Vanguard, ESG investing. View all of our ESG funds, and you can click there. It will tell you what is ESG investing: environmental, social, and governance. Here we are: air emissions, air quality, energy use, conservation, labor standards, production quality, equal employment opportunities. They've kind of hidden the pride stuff right there, but also here the governance, the board independence, and diversity. So that is how those are the terms that they are using there. Now, here's why this is important. Companies like Vanguard and BlackRock and Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan, if you invest and you use them as your advisor and you say, hey, I want to invest in the ABC company, and they look on their list and they say, well, we can't recommend that. We're unable to do that transaction for you. Why? Well, their ESG score is too low. We don't recommend them, as our firm cannot recommend them. That is what happens. That is why these companies are doing it. Now, the end game is going to reveal itself, because as more and more people are pulling their money out of the woke place and these woke corporations, you are going to see that there's going to be some rebound effect, even at BlackRock, Vanguard, and others. And there, you even saw nothing on these companies I just showed you. There were no gay pride flags. There were no rainbows on Vanguard or BlackRock. BlackRock did it a little bit, didn't they? Let me take a look again. I don't know. Am I reading into this? Is maybe their colors are a little bit, are they doing it undercover? Am I reading too much into BlackRock here? Are these rainbow colors? I have nothing against it. I think the rainbow's fantastic. God created it. And it was a sign of kind of the new life to come. So I am not, maybe I'm reading into this too much. I did not see any type of pride on these companies. Isn't that interesting? Maybe they had it, maybe they took it down. Many of you showed me different logos that had the rainbow, and then it was removed after the first day of June. So let me continue. That's the second reason that the companies are being coerced into it. Let me give you another example. California has the largest pension plan in the world. Okay, let me bring this over to you one more time. I think it's very interesting. California. Here I come. Yeah, I don't think people are going to sing that song anymore. The California Public Employees Retirement System is an agency in the California executive branch that manages the pensions for more than 1.5 California public employees. Look at this. It is $469 billion in assets. Here you go. This is it, calpers.cad.gov. Now, I did a little digging and I found out where this $469 billion is invested. And here you go. It is invested with JP Morgan and Bloomberg. There's another one. These other ones, and I did not have time to do all of the digging here, but I do want, and I'll leave a link for you if you want to read this in more detail. But here's the point that I wanted to make. $469 billion is a lot of money. And imagine there is the investment advisor, and there are several that work at this California pension fund, and they are talking again to JP Morgan and Bloomberg, as you just saw, and California, being the woke state that it is telling the investment advisors that this money can only go to companies that have a high ESG score. Are you following me? So companies like those who've been looking at, they're like, our company wants to have that, some of that $400+ billion from the state of California. So we better ratchet up our ESG scores and show that we are woke so that we will get these investment dollars. That is the cycle, my friends. That's exactly what's going on. It started with the UN. It gained steam. These companies are all in on it. And you might say, Peggy, I understand that the companies have these scores based on how they are treating the environment, how they're treating social issues, and who they've got on their board. I understand that the investment companies are recommending them. I understand that that states like California won't invest in companies unless they have the ESG scores. But why? Don't they see that this is all going to lead to the downfall? Well, let me continue with my reasons. I think that number three, these companies actually think it will be good for business. They actually believe that most of the people and most of the states and most of those that have investment dollars believe in this ESG hogwash. And they are sadly mistaken. The percentage of people who are going along with it, now that they know what it's like, are not in favor of it. How can I say that with veracity? How can I say that with confidence? Because I showed you in the previous videos the stock scores, the stock prices tanking. And the stock price is only one indicator, and those will vary because some people want to get a bargain and buy the stock when it's low and then sell it when it goes up a little bit. So it's not the only indicator. The other indicators are going to be their earnings reports. And those earning reports come out on a regular basis. And the companies do it. They have a regular schedule. They're not all at the same time. And we're going to see those earnings reports. And that's really when those stock prices are going to tank, when people see that the sales have not been what they were projected to be. So that may come up with a change in this ESG scoring. And also, if you are an investor, you can tell your investment advisor, or if you're doing it on your own, do not invest in those companies that are touting their ESG scores. All right, number four reason why they're doing this. And this is what many of you have told me, that they are actually, and by they, I mean the Bloomberg and the Vanguard and the BlackRock and the JP Morgan and all of the ESG woke companies are part of the planned decimation and destruction of the US and world economy. There are videos that are floating around promoting this concept, and it is a possibility. I'm not dismissing it. It may be a possibility, but I actually don't see it as a viable one. And here's why. There are other companies and other ways that you can still buy things and engage in commerce without engaging with Anheuser-Busch or Target or others. You can find another way. There will be smaller mom and pops coming to the forefront. You can shop at small local businesses. And we are, and I'm going to take back the word that they stole from us. We are resilient. We will push back. We will find another way. So I find, and I'm going to do another video about this as well, there is some gaslighting going on. I don't think intentionally, maybe it is intentional by some, I have to dig a little deeper, to present a message that says, oh, you should still keep shopping at Target. You should still keep drinking that beer. You should still keep going to that baseball game. Because if you don't, you personally, who have said, I'm never going to shop there or do business with them again, you're going to be the one who's going to be responsible for the downfall of these American companies. First of all, they're not really American. Okay. If you look at where they were started and who holds them, Anheuser-Busch is not American. Okay. It's owned by, I think in the Netherlands. So no, they're not American companies, and they have stockholders and investors from all over the world. So they're not the iconic American brands. I find that as a gaslighting technique. I'm just giving you my opinion. My opinion might be completely wrong, but since you're tuned in, I'm sure you want to hear it. If someone says to you, oh, you're going to fall right into their hands by no longer shopping there or drinking that beer or by speaking out against the transgressors, you're falling right into their hands. You're going to be responsible for the downfall of society. No, friends, I'm not responsible for it. Evil is responsible for it. And I am not going to consort with evil. I'm not going to give my dollars to evil. I'm not going to support it in any way consciously. And meaning if some way that I'm doing it unknowingly, hopefully I will learn about that, but I'm not knowingly going to support these companies ever. All right. I have never stepped foot in Costco, as my Japanese friends call it, since all of that hogwash in 2020, when they really knighted themselves as the United States of Costco and started creating laws illegitimately and unconstitutionally to prevent you from breathing oxygen in their store. I will never shop there, ever. I don't need to get the giant whatever they have for sale. I will find it somewhere else. There's always another way. So no, I'm not responsible for it. You're not responsible for it. The companies themselves are self-destructing. Why? Because evil can never create. It can only destroy. And we are seeing it with our very eyes. That leads me to number 5, the last one that I will leave you with. And that is simply this, that those who are pushing it are evil, period. They either are influenced by evil, they are colluding with evil, or the bottom line is they are evil. And I don't want to have any part of it. And I would like to know, what say you? Stick with me, friends. Tomorrow, I'm going to be bringing you another video. And also I'm going to be letting you know about an exciting program called The End of Cooties. Yes, that's the word that I use for it. And I want you to know how you can learn about all of this information that will be available to you for free. I've got a couple of long form, hard hitting interviews with some top names in the health freedom movement. All right, friends, thanks for being on board. Can't wait to read your comments, and I will see you in an upcoming broadcast.